Up 502. It is going down on a beautiful Saturday morning. Wake up 502. This is Raashaan Myers, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. Big X Sports Radio. So happy to be here this morning. So excited to be here. April 11th, 2026. I cannot believe that college basketball is over, that we are now fully into the offseason. We're getting you ready for so many things, from Derby upcoming, of course, us at, Wake Up 502, Main Event Sports. This is one of our favorite times of the year, so we got great events coming up there. We're getting you ready and counting you down to the NFL draft. There's so many things happening. NBA is rolling, getting ready for the playoffs, trying to get ready for that. Transfer portal season is open for your Louisville Cardinals, and of course Kentucky Wildcats as well. But you got all the portal madness going on. University of Louisville is actually hosting a couple of big-time visitors right now as we speak. So there's so many things going on. Want to talk about those with you. Want to get your thoughts. Want to get your opinions. Want to get, whatever you want to do. I don't care. You can call in and ask questions. You can call in and hate and tell me that you don't like me and you think that, all my ideas are stupid. You can tell me how great you think I am. I don't care. I just want you to get involved. I want you to get your Saturday off. Start off to a good step. So we're going to get into all of that. And of course, the best way to get involved, anything going on with the show, 502-414-1450. That is 502-414-1450. That is the Game Day Men's Health text line. That is the best way to get involved. You can go ahead, text me. Give me your thoughts. We will read those live on the air. Of course, we are also broadcasting live over the social media landscape from Facebook, Twitter, or X as you like to call it, YouTube as well. So if you guys have any questions, thoughts, or opinions, I would love to hear those as well. I know a lot of people are buzzing because, it's so interesting because, at the NCAA tournament, especially around here, is like the biggest thing in the world. Those first 2 days of March Madness, then having, amazing games for the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. And then, of course, all the pageantry and excitement of the Final Four. This year was in Indianapolis, and the championship game, capping it off on Monday night. But it's interesting because, especially now this year, this is the first year where the NCAA made the rule that players are not able to enter the transfer portal officially until the day after the championship game. So the transfer portal did not open up until Tuesday. And it's very interesting because it's almost like you have the crescendo of the season hit on Monday. And then on Tuesday, immediately, everybody is just off in jockeying position and, starting to make moves to see who's going to be the next guy. So you have all these announcements from all these players, all these guys that are submitting their name to the transfer portal, guys that are figuring out, if they're going to test the waters of the NBA draft. Of course, a lot of the guys, the big-time freshmen, all those guys are known that, for the most part, those guys are going to the draft. But, there's a certain, second cut of players, either guys that are older, sophomores, juniors, seniors, or upcoming seniors, or, players, freshmen that maybe had strong seasons, but they're not ready for the NBA draft. And all those guys making their decisions on whether they're going to stay at their current school or if they're going to go ahead, put their name in the transfer portal and see what they're worth on the open market. And it's just this feeding frenzy of, fans trying to figure out what their schools are going to do, schools trying to figure out what players are going into the draft. Of course, there's a lot of schools that have already been making contact, reaching out to agents and trying to figure out, if these guys that they've been talking to, back channeling, if those guys are ready to make visits, if they're ready to make commitments. And it's just kind of a free-for-all. So it's very fun that almost as soon as the college basketball season is over, the buzz for the upcoming season immediately starts. And it really never stops. Like, at this point, I would argue that, college basketball is a, 24/7, 365 sport now. People always talk about the NFL being kind of a year-long sport because of the way they handle everything from the season, the schedule release, and then, the go through the season, the Super Bowl, and then the draft lead up, that it's almost kind of like the same thing. And I feel like, college athletics, especially college basketball, because of the calendar, is now in that same boat to where, it pretty much never stops. Like college football has kind of a definitive end. You have kind of the, the close of the college football regular season. And nobody really talks about college football much, unless you are in one of those crazy diehard SEC states. Everybody's kind of done with college football for a few months. And then, you have spring practice that kind of gears up, but then it all kind of goes quiet. But because of the calendar, because basketball has this season that kind of rolls along, and then you get to the end of it, and now everybody's getting excited. I guess it just depends on what sport you love to follow. But for me, it's definitely 365. University of Louisville has made a huge splash early. They're going out, of course, with so many players going into the portal, so many guys. There's still a lot of guys that are still trying to make decisions on whether they're going into the portal. So the portal is still not fully complete, but the two young men that Louisville has on their campus already, two guys that came in yesterday, Jackson Shelstad, point guard from Oregon, as well as Flory Badunga, the number one player in the transfer portal from Kansas, a young man who actually started the season here in Louisville as Kansas came here in the exhibition. So Flory does at least have some familiarity with the city because Kansas did come here with Bill Self and Coach Bill Self and company and play that game. He's on campus right now, the best player in the transfer portal. So, regardless of what happens, I think that, Louisville made a statement that they want to be a player in the portal. They want to be the player in the portal. And I think that speaks dividends to what they want to do. I think that's important to go out there and make statements like that. And I want to know from you guys, how are you feeling about it? There's so many conversations about the transfer portal. People want to talk about what guys are getting paid, what the asking price is for these players. Of course, Flory Badunga, there's been a lot of media talk out there that Flory and his people are looking for a huge, huge payday. And, of course, being the number one player in the portal, the reigning defensive player of the year in the Big 12, he's going to come with a very high NIL number. Some people are, I've heard a lot of people worried about that. Other people are like, man, just go out there. Louisville needs a big man. I don't care. I want to know what you guys, how you would approach it. Of course, we know that Louisville did a lot of spreading the love last year. Like Louisville went out there and tried to pay for, 10, 11 guys and get everybody pretty decent NIL earnings. And they kind of spread it across the way. And then, of course, we remember what happened with Michael Brown going down and how that just necessarily didn't work out the way that we expected it to. This year, it sounds like Louisville is going to go out there and pay top dollar to maybe 5 or 6 guys and then kind of just fill in, behind from there. I want to know how you guys feel about that. Like, do you like this, do you like this strategy that Louisville's employing? Do you want to see Louisville go out there and just get the best of the best in the transfer portal and then, maybe the guys that are coming off the bench or even, your fifth starter, your sixth man maybe aren't as, talented or powerful as they could be because you've spent so much on the 1, 2, 3, and 4 on your roster. I want to know what you guys think about that. I also want to know what you want Louisville to look like this year. If you have any ideas on what you think the most important things are. I've had a lot of people tell me Kelsey loves the point guards. He loves having his leader. He's got to go out there and get that first. So he needs to focus on getting his shooters and getting all that taken care of because 3-point shooting is so important. Other people saying you got to go out and you got to get your big men. You got to go get, Louisville didn't have the size. I want to know what you think. 502-414-1450 on the Game Day Men's Health text line. I'd love to hear your thoughts on a strategy or where you think it's most important. You guys, of course, with Kelsey having both, Jackson Shelstad, who's considered one of the top 2 or 3 point guards in the transfer portal right now. and Flory, of course, being the number one overall player and the top big man. You have your pick with those two guys. So if you think one of these guys is more important than the other, I'd love to hear that. Of course, we want to get both of those guys done. I would argue that most people want to see that happen. But, if there's a strategy, a technique, a style of play that you think after watching the Final Four, after watching Michigan and what they were able to do, winning the national championship, kind of just, wearing down UConn after just an absolute domination of Arizona in the Final Four. You saw what Michigan took to get it done. Would you like to see Louisville play more of that Michigan style? Do you feel like Louisville needs to play that way? Or, do you think it was just kind of bad luck with what happened with Michael Brown, and you think that what Coach Kelsey was doing last year can work? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. So I'm going to give my own personal thoughts on this, and it kind of goes back to what I watched during the Final Four. And, as we looked and as these teams move forward in the Elite Eight, getting ready for the Final Four, and then ultimately, the Final Four, with Illinois, with Arizona, with Michigan, and with UConn, there was a few things that came to me. And probably the biggest things that I noticed is that, first of all of those teams had tremendous size. Okay. And I think that right there, in my personal opinion, and you guys can let me know if you feel differently about that, I think that's where Louisville was falling the shortest. Like, Louisville just did not have enough size to compete, because even when I looked at a team like Illinois, who loved to go out there and shoot the ball, they had Tomislav and Big Z, Ivisic, both of the Ivisic brothers, both those guys, 7'1" and 7'2". They also had Merkovic, who was probably 6'9", 6'10" at the power forward. Of course, Merkovic could shoot it a little bit. He could do a little bit more handling, but still really good size. You had 2 7+ footers coming off the, on the floor. You had at least one of those 7+ footers on the floor at all times. And Merkovic was a guy who played, 30+ minutes a game as a, 6'9", 6'10", 240-pound forward. So even though Illinois was the team that spread the court and loved to shoot the three, they still had competitive size to be out there, to be able to go out there and bang with the best of the best. And then, of course, you look at the rest of the teams, whether it be UConn with Harris Reed, you look at Michigan with, their 500 big men that they had on their team, and then Arizona and their big men, Coapede, and you had the big guy in the middle. He was, 7'2", big man as well. So, I mean, that was the thing that, to me, I don't think Louisville could even, do you guys feel like they could have even competed against any of those guys to keep a game competitive? That's my whole thing. It's like, if Louisville's a team that couldn't even, if you feel that you looked at what Louisville did last year, and, Louisville built the team the way they wanted to build it, with the style that they wanted to play, do you guys feel like that Louisville could have kept any of those four teams competitive? And when I say competitive, a game under 10 points with, 8 minutes to play. Could they be within 2 or 3 possessions with a chance to win the game under 8-minute timeout? And I'm going to be honest with you, I just don't see it. I don't see, with how Louisville's built, even with a healthy Michael Brown, Louisville's not going to be within 10 points of those teams with the 2 segments to play in the game. And if you don't feel like your team, and the team in Louisville that is going to be is one of the elite programs in college basketball, they're going to spend more NIL than 95% of the teams in college basketball. If you're not going to be able to go out there and be within 10 points of the best teams in the sport, then you're doing something wrong. And that is my personal opinion. I don't think that what they're doing can work. And I think that Coach Kelsey saw a lot of the same things. And I give him credit for the fact that, he allowed 2 of his best friends and 2 guys that he's been coaching with for a while and has great comfortability and familiarity with, go, with letting Brian Cloman go to Auburn, letting Thomas Carr go up to Indiana, and, seeing the changes that needed to be made and making those changes. I give Coach Kelsey a ton of credit for that. Like it's, very easy for a guy to go out there and be like, you know what? No, I believe in what we're doing. I believe in how we're doing it. We're just going to stay the course. Michael Brown was injured, so I'm going to make excuses for that. And I'm going to, just say that, that was just bad luck, so on and so forth. And rather than do that, Coach Kelsey made it a point to go out there and, make changes that, he felt needed to happen to, give Louisville the best opportunity to, be what Louisville basketball needs to be. And I'm sorry I keep saying, but it's because I want to get my words right. I appreciate that because you don't get to this level of college basketball without great belief in yourself, great belief in your system. There's a reason that they hired you as a coach. So a lot of times coaches can be extremely stubborn or reticent hesitant to make changes because they say, it's my way or the highway. I'm going to win my way. And Coach Kelsey seems like a guy who has been willing to say, yeah, you know what? There's a lot of things that I like that we do, but I do see where there's some opportunity for adjustments. I do see where there's some opportunity for improvement, and I do see where we fell short and need to get better. And I give Coach Kelsey all the credit in the world for that because that is something that's not always easy to do. It's not always easy to go out there and see your deficiencies and be willing to make those adjustments because a lot of times it comes down to ego, right? And a lot of these guys, all these guys have egos. From the coaches to the players, you don't get to that level without a unshakable belief in yourself and your system and how hard you work, and the proof is in the pudding. I mean, Coach Kelsey won, 7 conference championships, when you talk about College of Charleston, you talk about Winthrop, he's won at every level he's played. So he could say, you know what? I've won the way I coach for several years. So I give him credit for acknowledging and seeing some of the deficiencies and some of the questions that, everybody had, not just, the questions that I asked in press conferences, not just, the conversations that fans were having on social media and on the radio. He saw things for himself that needed to change. So I'm super excited about it. I think they're off to a good start. When I hear about the guys that the University of Louisville is targeting, the fact that you're able to go out there and get a Jackson Shellstad to come on campus and Flory Badunga, I'm going to, kind of let you guys know just from watching these guys. I know Jackson Shellstad is a young man that unless you watch a lot of West Coast basketball, or a lot of Big Ten basketball, you may not know much about the young man. Goes about 6'1", about 180 or so pounds. Very quick guard, very strong lead guard. I would say if you were talking about former Louisville Cardinals to remind you of, I would say Jackson Shellstad he has very strong Peyton Siva vibes. And I'm not just saying that because he's a light-skinned brother playing in the Pacific Northwest, all right? Just because, Peyton Siva, of course, is from Seattle, so that's not why I'm saying it. So if anybody's listening out there, Jackson, if you listen to Wake Up 502, I'm not just comparing you and Peyton because y'all are a couple of quick light-skinned brothers from the Pacific Northwest. No, I'm saying that because Jackson has a very strong feel for the game. It feels like he's controlling the game. Now, of course, a lot of people will look at his stats from last year, say, you know what, he didn't necessarily shoot the ball well. He only played in 15 games. He is coming off a hand injury. So I will say that, is that he has had he did have some injury, bad luck this past year, but, he was still a very solid player. But I encourage you, if you want to see this young man at his full potential, go back and watch his 2024 2025 tape. If you go back and you look at that, then you'll get to see this young man and really what he's all about. And Jackson Shelstad is a very strong command of the team. He's a guy who wants the ball in his hand when the chips are down. He's a guy who has great pace, great tempo, and that's something in terms of leadership with the basketball in his hands that we haven't had since probably Carlik Jones, that just had a guy that controls every aspect of the game and wants the ball when it's time, when it's winning time. And I think that's a quality that you have to have, especially at the point guard position. And, the point guard position is so important to Coach Kelsey's belief. He always talked about, having a point guard that you can hand the ball over to, at 7 o'clock, and he's going to give it back to you safely at 9 p.m. and the game is over. He always talks about that. That's one thing that's always important to him. And I think Jackson Shelstad absolutely embodies that. And, that's a thing that I really and truly feel that he'll be able to count on if Jackson is the point guard. And of course, we've seen a lot of conversation about the fact that Jackson was going to visit both Louisville and Arizona. Earlier in the week, it was thought that he was going to visit Arizona first. And then that ended up going by the wayside. And it seems like Jackson is very much trending in Louisville's direction. So that was great news heading into the visit. So people are hoping that they can go ahead and get that thing done while he's on campus. And if Louisville's able to get that done, I think that Louisville fans will absolutely love their captain and their point guard for 2026, 2027. I think the kid is a star. I actually did watch a lot of Oregon basketball. I loved Shelstad. I love, what he brought in his quality as kind of the game controller. And I also love the other young man that played there, Kwame Evans. Evans, I believe, is taking a visit somewhere on the East Coast, Villanova or UConn or NC State or somewhere. He's going somewhere on the East Coast. I like both those guys. Both those guys kind of stood out to me because y'all know I'm a basketball degenerate. So I love watching all types of basketball, and Oregon always has a ton of talent. So Jackson's a guy that I've actually watched a lot of, and he just has that it. And I will say this, that's one thing, and even with Carlik Jones, Louisville didn't really have this. Jackson is a guy who has the quickness at the point guard position that we haven't seen in a while. He has, I talk about him being very similar to Peyton Siva. Like, in terms of his quickness, his ability to get by the initial defender and make plays, getting to the rim and finishing, he has that. He's a little bit more offensively, I'm looking for my shot first than Peyton was. Like, Peyton was more of a setup guy, just traditionally. That's how he played. Jackson is more of, I'm going to look to get my own shot, but I'm also going to make the right play, which I think is actually good, because that was one of the things that I had criticisms with Michael Brown, is that it felt like a lot of times when Michael was attacking, he wasn't looking aggressively to score. He was always looking to set up other guys to pass. And I believe that your lead guard has to be looking to score, making the defense make decisions, and dependent upon those decisions, either score for yourself or kick it to the open guys if the defense does collapse. And I think Jackson does a great job of that. He definitely looks to score first, but he's super unselfish. He's very smart with the ball. Even though he was injured this year, he improved his assists per game numbers by over 2 assists per game from his sophomore to his junior season at Oregon before going down with that hand injury. So I totally think that this is a young man that can thrive in the Kelsey system. Dana Altman's a very good coach out there at Oregon, but I think that in this up-tempo, high-paced Kelsey offense, Jackson's numbers could increase greatly. I mean, he was at 15.5 points, 5 assists, and a steal and a half a game. I think all those numbers could greatly jump next year. Great free throw shooter, very quick on his feet defensively. Like I said, steal and a half a game is excellent. Doesn't have great size, only about 6'6", as I talked about earlier. But, at the point guard position, I don't think size is at a premium. I definitely think it's more about quickness. It's more about being able to stay in front of your man, having active hands, and kind of being a pest for the other primary ball handlers for the opposition. So I do think that this young man would be a great addition, even if things were to not happen great. And let's say Flory Badunga did decide to take other visits, which is, definitely a possibility. If Louisville can come out of this weekend with the commitment of Jackson Shelstad, I think that is a huge, huge coup and a feather in the cap of the university. So we'll keep an eye on that. I know that we are up against it for the break. When we come back on the other end, we're going to continue to talk about these two transfers. I also want to take your thoughts on those as well. 502-414-1450. That is the Call Your Law office. The Game Day Men's Health text line. You can also give me a call at the Call Your Law office hotline, 502-384-1450 as well. You are listening to Wake Up 502. Raashaan Myers will be back on 96.1 FM, Big X Sports Radio. 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio. I'm so happy. Intern James is now at the controls in there as well. James, good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning, brother?
Good morning. I'm blessed.
Love to hear it, man. Love to hear it. Glad you could join me in here since, of course, obviously, Haven and Roman are too big time for me. So I appreciate you coming in, taking care of things in there. I know you're going to keep me on. Make sure you're checking those, the text line. We got to make sure that the texters are in there, and we'll have those texts. We'll probably start reading those after we come back at the top of the hour. I know we might have Jay Has come on for a little bit, but make sure you're checking the text line on there, making sure everybody is all happy and sharing candy and things of that nature. But appreciate you coming in this morning. How are things going with you, man? The spring, you're rolling in. Now, are you on spring break? Were you on spring break last week, or are you on spring break this week?
I'm on spring break this week, so it'll end this coming Monday.
Okay. So you already have had all your spring break. Did you do anything fun? Did you go anywhere, or were you just hanging around town?
I just worked and cleaned. I cleaned around the house and went to work. I got a new job. Another one. Now,
James, this is spring break of your senior year. You're supposed to be going. Wow, why are you not at, I don't know, some Myrtle Beach, or what's going on? Cleaning the house on spring break. That is not what you're supposed to be doing spring break. Who do I have to yell at about
the reason it's called spring cleaning?
I mean, that's fair, but all I'm saying is, it's spring break. You're supposed to be going somewhere, cruise, vacation. You're supposed to be on a beach, have sand between your toes. But we're going to have to talk to your people.
Well, I hiked the hill, if you want to call the WKU Hilltoppers. I went on the tour.
Oh, you poor baby. That's my goodness gracious. See what I mean? Your mama got you brainwashed talking about, yeah, this is fun. No, you're supposed to be going out and having some. I'm going to leave her alone. That's all right. I feel it, if you love hiking the hill and cleaning up.
I didn't say I loved it.
You know what I'm saying? If that's your idea of great spring break fun, it is all good. I will not mess with you, but I feel like you've been brainwashed. You're talking about, I was cleaning up on my spring break. It's like, what? Oh, man, that's crazy. And I won't tell you where Cam was. He ain't even in school no more. You know where he spent his spring break? Gulf Shores, Alabama. So he was out on the beach having a good old time. Y'all should have been trading places. I need Cameron at home cleaning, and you the one that should be out on the beach having fun.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
You know what I'm saying? Because my son don't like cleaning up nothing. I don't know how many y'all, my son is a knucklehead when it comes to getting all that stuff together. So I'm glad you at least taking care of the important stuff. That means you're in a good spot moving forward. But I will leave you alone. I will not mess with your people. As long as you had fun, I'm happy for you, my brother. But we got to work on it. We got to get you somewhere. Got to have a little fun. But so you now were you taking it? You said you went down to WKU for some school visits. What's going on with that? What's going on with you getting ready? Are you going to college? Are you been looking at programs? What's your plan post graduation?
To pursue higher education. I want to go to college.
Okay.
Right now, my two choices are between WKU and University of Cincinnati.
Okay. Nice. Now Cam loves Cincinnati. Have you been up to UC for a visit yet?
Unfortunately not. So I'm trying to kind of set up an unofficial visit, because I want to make a decision by May, and the next available tour is May 11th. So okay, nice. Me and Cam did take the tour up to UC. He loves Cincinnati. He loves the city of Cincinnati just in general, but he really did love UC's campus. It's a smaller campus. It's kind of all insulated, on top of kind of a big hill in there in Cincinnati. So everything is super close. You have all of the administrative buildings and all that stuff, and the student housing is all kind of right there together. Okay. So he really liked that. It is a smaller campus, so he doesn't have to go walking what WKU. When I was down there, it was kind of a sprawling campus, so you were all over the place, having to walk uphill and downhill to different education. There's kind of residence halls all over the campus, depending on what your major, your year. All those are factors.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll have to tell me how that goes, man. I'm super excited. You you'll have to make that announcement. When you decide to pick up which hat for where you're going to, you'll have to let us know. But hopefully you'll have a good visit up there, and good luck. So you have to keep us updated on that. So
I will. Yes,
I'm gonna need that. I like that. I like that. Cool. I love to hear it. So all right, so people, so I know you all are chomping at the bit. I had somebody, James, send me a message. I had somebody jump in my DMs at like, I don't even know if it was 8:00 this morning. Somebody jumped in my DMs on Twitter asking me what I thought about these transfer portal candidates, these kids that were looking at U of L. And I'm like, who's in my DMs at like 7:50? And I turn around and look at my phone and I see, what do you think about these kids on campus right now? I'm like, like that is the passion of our fans. In fact, hold on, I'm gonna look this up for y'all right here live on the air while I am on this topic. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up. I'm looking on X right now, and my brother, one of the fans I talk to all the time on Twitter. Okay, so I said it was a little early, but I said he texted me at 8:16 a.m. All right, so I'm pretty sure he knows that my show on Saturday starts at 9:00, but he could not wait. He said, "How are you feeling about landing the guys that are on campus?" I got that at 8:16 this morning, James. Like, if I'm getting a message that early from somebody, I need it to be like an emergency. It needs to be a problem.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, to somebody, but that's the way everybody is. Like, these little fans are so hungry. Everybody's hungry to like get back into it and get right back. They got a little taste of it. Coach Kelsey got the first win in, programs last 8 years, for 7 years at least.
D. Mitchell?
Yes, since 2017, since D. Mitch was a sophomore. So it was the first, tournament win. So everybody's hungry for what's next. So I'm just going to tell Maurice, I know you out there listening, from what I'm hearing right now, as I talked about, Jackson Shelstad was planning to visit both Louisville and Arizona and kind of make his decision from there. The Arizona visit was canceled. So as of right now, it is looking very, very good for Jackson Shelstad. So, like, if there was to be a commitment this weekend, which I do believe there's going to be at least one commitment this weekend, I feel like Jackson Shelstad is in a really good spot. Nothing is ever guaranteed because, you just never know in the transfer portal world. There was a lot of people that said that, Jackson, who was from the West Coast, wanted to stay closer to home. So Arizona had the draw of him staying out on the West Coast. So that's always a possibility. But I don't know if you know this, James, but college basketball players get paid now. So
right, NIL.
So, if you got to go a little bit further away from home to make, get their bank account right, then that's going to be what you do. So
actually, I'm sorry to interrupt. I saw something the other day.
Yes.
It said that U of L and U of K, the rivalry is kind of, dimming down with the inclusion of NIL, just because a lot of players are going to bigger schools to get bigger paychecks, It's not really so much of the blood, sweat, and tears of going between, the rivalry.
Well, and that's a good point because I think that, Coach Pope especially, he's been a guy who he believes that players should want to go to Kentucky because it's Kentucky. Right. He should believe, he believes that players should be in awe of the mystique of the University of Kentucky. He says, I want guys that want to play for the team on the front of the jersey. And while that sounds good, especially with a traditional powerhouse like Kentucky, while that sounds good, at the end of the day now, brother, it's about money. Mm-hmm. It's about going out there and showing you, like, people can love, I can love Big Blue all I want, but if Big Red is paying top dollar, like,
I mean, it's going to set me up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we can still be friends, but I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go over across the street.
Right.
And, that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's the one thing where I think there's a big difference. Like, and I understand it because Coach Pope played at UK, won a national championship at UK. He has tremendous love for the University of Kentucky. But I think that one thing where he's going to have to make an adjustment is, I think that in this day and age, you're going to have to pay players. Okay, you're not going to be able to just get kids on a discount because they love the University of Kentucky. You may be able to get away with that a little bit with kids that are from the state of Kentucky because they grew up Kentucky fans, their family grew up Kentucky fans, or whatever have you. But for like the best players in the portal, nobody's turning down money to go to a certain school. I don't care if it's Louisville. I don't care if it's Duke. I don't care if it's UConn. I don't care who it is.
And it's not a small amount of money. It's not, like a grant or like a little scholarship. This is like $50,000 plus.
I don't know. Yeah, and for the waters that Louisville's wading in. I mean, there's conversations for Floyd Badunga, the big man from Kansas. His people, his agent and folks are looking for a package in the, from what I understand, $3 to $4 million range.
Okay, I didn't hear about it.
So yeah, you're talking about huge money. Like, I'm just going to give you from what that they said in, I saw this a post on Twitter earlier this week that said that for the kids, let's say the top 25 players in the portal. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if there are transfer portal rankings, everybody has rankings for something, right? Yeah. So in the current transfer portal rankings, they said that big men are looking to get anywhere in the neighborhood of $3 to $4 million. Guards are looking to get anywhere in the neighborhood to $2 to $3 million, and wings and forwards are looking somewhere to get between $2 and $3 million. So you're talking about, anybody who's a big time starter that has an impact, has the ability to be an impact. You're just about starting at $2 million. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for any of those guys. So James, you're talking about big money, big money.
That's like semi-pro.
Yes. So when you're talking about Louisville hosting the number one player in the transfer portal right now in Floyd Badunga, if Louisville's going to get him, they're going to be paying north of $3 million. I don't know how far north of $3 million, but you're going to have to get that done. And Jackson Shellstad, I would argue that he's going to be somewhere in that $1.5 to $3 million range. I don't know where. I would say he would probably land somewhere just north of $2 million, but would be my guess. But that's just complete conjecture. So, I mean, Louisville could spend, to get these two guys done, I think you're looking at Louisville spending somewhere around $6 million this weekend.
Oh, wow. That's fast.
Yeah. So that's what they're dealing with. That's what they're dealing with right now. So, I mean, that's going to be something to keep an eye on all weekend. I will let folks know that this afternoon, James, if you or your friends or anybody that you got to let them know, Peyton Siva sent a message out. Okay, Louisville baseball has a home game, 2 p.m. at Lynn Family Stadium, or Lynn Patterson Field, over on the U of L campus over there on Central and 3rd. Okay, game starts at 2. Peyton Siva said that they will be hosting a tailgate. Louisville basketball will be hosting a tailgate around. He said they'll be there around 1:30. Okay, so 30 minutes before the game, they're going to have a little bit of early tailgating where more than likely there's going to be some very high-profile players and prospective players there. So my guess is Jackson Shellstad and Floyd Badunga will be there. So, any of you Louisville fans, if you don't have anything to do in the early afternoon, if you want to go out there and just show these players how much you appreciate them or how excited you are for them potentially coming to your school, that's always a good thing to make you look good. You can do that. So get down there to Patterson Field around 1:30 or so, and you'll see some really, really tall people out there.
Louisville's one of the most involved fan bases, and it's one of the most involved fan bases in the world. I'm sure they'll appreciate it.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. There. I have no doubt by about 2:00, maybe even 1:45, there's going to be plenty of pictures. There's going to be plenty of video. Everybody's going to be down there because, that's one thing that I will say, from even when Coach Kelsey first got here, and Chucky Hepburn was being recruited by Louisville. Chucky comes in, I want to say it was maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock at night in his flight, and Louisville fans were at the airport waiting for Chucky to get here at like 10:30 at night. Like, we're there cheering and calling his name. So, like, Louisville fans always show up. So the fact that this is a Saturday afternoon, it's a nice day outside. It's going to be right now. It's a little overcast, but it feels nice. It's kind of mid-50s right now. It's a nice day, not too hot. It's going to be a Saturday afternoon. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of Louisville fans downtown. there's going to be a lot of people down there saying, come to our basketball. I mean, you're talking about the best player in the portal right now, like the number one guy.
Old top 25 of the class of 20.
Yes, this is the number one guy. This is the number one. Flory Badunga is the number one guy in transfer portal. He's the number one center. He's the number one post player. So yeah.
My apologies. I thought you were talking about Jackson Shellstad.
No. Jackson is ranked in the top 25 portal rankings right now. I think Jackson is somewhere around 10, somewhere between 10th and 12th. Okay. So he's the number 2 or number 3 point guard, depending on what ranking you're looking at. But he's either the second or third best projected point guard in the portal right now, and the number 1 overall player in Flory Badunga. So you're talking literally about 2 of the best players in the portal that are going to be out there. So make sure you get out there, say what's up to the players, take some pictures with them, tell them how much you love them. I'm pretty sure that these guys will be shocked because, at Kansas, Kansas is a basketball powerhouse, so Flory Badunga definitely knows about crazy basketball culture. It's still different at Louisville than anywhere else because Louisville is a big city. Louisville, treats their basketball team like a professional team. So I think that he has an opportunity to have his eyes open with what Louisville basketball is. And Jackson Shellstad, he's at Oregon. Oregon has a lot of money, but it's not really what I would call a basketball crazy place. So this has an opportunity to really show him and open his eyes to kind of the craziness that is Louisville basketball. So go out, get out there, show them a good time. But no, I'm super excited for both of these guys. We talked a little bit about Jackson and his ability, but in terms of Flory Badunga, if you aren't familiar, 6'9", probably 230, 235, 240 pounds, superlative athlete. Wingspan is ridiculous. I think Flory has a 7'5" wingspan, 7'7", something crazy. Very long arms, great shot blocker, averaged 2.5 blocks per game last year. Was the Big 12 Player of the Year. He was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. But just a superlative athlete, just a super aggressive, confident basketball player. I mean, he's the type of guy that wants the ball. He can get the ball. He's going to turn. He's going to dunk on you. Aggressive looking to get the ball to the rim. Great offensive rebounder. He's just, I'm going to say this, but I'm not saying it to be mean. He's everything that Sananda Frew wasn't last year. Like, I love Sananda. Sananda is a big athlete. He was a guy who had size. He had length. But the difference between Flory and Sananda Frew is just simply the fact that Flory is aggressive. Flory is hungry. He wants the ball. He wants to dunk on you. He wants to dominate the paint. He's nasty. He's mean. Is that like that's who he is as a player. And while I feel like in terms of pure size, stature, he and Sananda Frew about similar.
Yeah, he's 6'10".
Yeah, I mean, both those guys are about similar. That's a similar size, similar weight, but ain't even close. Like Flory's a dog, absolute dog. I mean, you don't get anytime you're named, Defensive Player of the Year. He was all Big 12 first team. All defensive Big 12, of course, and Defensive Player of the Year. He's a dog. He's a dude that wants the ball. He's a guy who wants to dominate the paint. He's the type of guy that is going to control everything down low. 13 points, average 9 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, as I talked about, and assist and a half. So he's actually even very good at passing the ball. He led the Big 12 in field goal percentage as well at 64%. Only a sophomore this past year. So still a young player. So, I mean, you could argue that he still has the possibility of 2 years. And that was one of the things I actually wanted to bring up about Jackson Shellstad as well, is that while Jackson Shellstad is going to be listed as a senior coming in this year, because of his hand injury last year, there is a possibility that he could petition to get his junior season back because of injury. So he could get an injury redshirt. So there's a possibility that both of these guys still have 2 years of college basketball left. And I know that every year is just basically a single year. In the transfer portal era, you can never count on a player for more than 1 year. But there is a possibility that you could, have these young men for more than a season, at least a possibility of it. So, that's the way you want to look at it. I love what Coach Kelsey's doing. I love the fact that this is where he's starting. When we get into hour number 2, I want to talk about some of the other guys that, Louisville's looking at, some of the guys that have been reported to have interest in Louisville, what Louisville could be looking for. There's some other guys that they actually said could possibly be on campus as well, or at least coming to possibly visit this weekend. So there could be some surprises at that tailgate as well. So, I say all that to say it's definitely a good time to be there. It's a good time to be about this, because it really feels like this year, y'all, Louisville is looking, Coach Kelsey, now that he's had 2 years in the system, it feels like he understands and sees what he needs to achieve, and he's trying to make that happen. But I tell you what, let's go ahead. Let's get to the top of the hour break. When we come back, I'm sure Jay Haas will be called in, so I want to hear Jay's thoughts on the Final Four, what he thought about Michigan, his thoughts on Louisville and his transfer portal. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about more transfer portal guys and much, much more. This is Wake Up 502. Raashaan Myers, intern James, and we'll be back on 96.1 FM. Four. UConn was able to get by Illinois without too much problem, and then Michigan was able to use that bully ball concept and win it all. I want to ask you, first of all, what do you think about Michigan getting it done? And secondly, how big of a gap is there between Louisville basketball and what we saw in the Final Four this year?
Okay, first questions first. The bully ball, man, that has been, like that has been the style of basketball that's been dominant all year in college basketball. Bigs, guys down low that can scoring at all three levels, especially the first and second level, which runs the basket and mid-range, has proven to be like the gold standard of college basketball this year. And we saw it on display. Like every team in the Final Four had bigs to pound it in and could take advantage of low post playing and mid-range playing. With Illinois being like probably the only pure three-point shooting team left, and we saw what happened to them. So, man, with this potential move is like that, what Kelsey originally wanted to do, which is mostly an offense built around shooting threes, just won't cut it. And you got to go big. So it's going to be interesting to see how much he changes his style and scheme to fit the realities of college basketball. And it seems like indications so far that change is underway, right? You got coaches that we've been asking for with experience at this level, experienced coach in college basketball at the highest level, so he got that in. He brought a guy in from Florida that knows how to coach bigs, likes coaching bigs. So it looks like the necessary changes are there. So I'm excited to see how he puts his roster together now, because that's going to be the telltale sign of how much this scheme has changed, if it's changed, and what's going to happen next.
Yeah, you got to hope that Coach Kelsey is learning and evolving as a coach, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've tried to kind of keep people understanding is that Coach Kelsey has ideas and opinions about how things are going to work and how Louisville basketball should look, and I feel like that first year was kind of the honeymoon season, like people were just kind of happy to be there, but this past year, Haven, it was like, this is the real thing. Like that was Coach Kelsey's first year playing with actual tangible expectations. And I think with having those expectations and the changes in tenor of how the questions were coming in press conferences, the change in how fans were handling him, I think he had to get his eyes open to what real success at the high major college basketball level. So it was almost like last year was almost like Coach Kelsey's first year all over again. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Because, this year was like a real eye-opening, I think, learning year for Coach Kelsey. Because, we said this all season long that he stuck to his system way too long.
Yeah.
When it was obvious it wasn't working. And to me, the most frustrating part about this is that you had pieces in place where you could have made changes. Where you could have been more of a low post, mid-range team, because you had guys that could execute that. He just refused to do that and stubbornly stuck to his system, I think, to his detriment. But I think it was a learning experience for him. And I think, watching the rest of college basketball, seeing what teams gave us the most issues, I think really kind of opened his eyes like, I need to make some changes because this is not going to work.
Yeah, no, I do. I think that he really kind of, it's different when you're going through that honeymoon phase, right? But when you come in with expectations, and I think Coach Kelsey thought he put together a team that could compete for an Elite Eight or Final Four, and I think that his eyes got open to like, this ain't gonna work. He tried. He did not quit trying until the last week of the regular season, where he was like, okay, maybe I need to change something.
That's not going to work.
Yeah, so let me ask you, do you like the two guys that Louisville has on campus right now? You got Jackson Shelstad, the point guard from Oregon, who's a super quick, strong guard, can score, smart, veteran. And then you have Floyd Badunga, the big man from Kansas, number one player in the portal. Are you okay with these high dollar guys that are, Louisville's going to have to spend a lot of NIL on these guys? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, so far, yeah, because for me, this is, and I think, like I said, you never know his philosophy until you get more done than just two guys. So he may, spend the majority of money on 1, 2, maybe 3 super high profile guys, and then fill in with complementary role players. So we just have to wait and see exactly how he builds this out. But right now, he kind of solved, this year, the issue was you only had one point guard, Michael Brown. That was it. And when Michael wasn't playing and was out, you left it to the other guards to kind of fill in, but you really didn't have like that 2-point guard that created his own shot and things of that nature. So we know to see like who's going to be the second point guard on the roster. You got one, you need another one, and you have the big. So I'm interested to see what kind of wing players kind of fills around that to complement that.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that because right now, it sounds like Louisville wants Jackson Shelstad and Quinn Ellis, who is the professional point guard out of England, who played in the Italian, the top league in Italy. They still want both of these guys to play. Both of these guys are true lead point guards, and Louisville wants both of those guys in the backcourt. And it feels like that's a big shift, right? Like that to me, once again, shows that Coach Kelsey acknowledged that, if this is going to work and it's going to happen the way I want it to happen, we have to get more ball handling out there. So I think that this is a kind of an indication that Coach Kelsey kind of understands what he's looking for, right?
Oh yeah, I mean you can see the change happening. You can see. Because last year, it was all about let me go in the portal and get the best 3-point shooters I can find.
Yeah.
Because I want a team that's going to jack up like 95 million threes a game. And so far, it's like, okay, let me get the best point guard I can get. Now let me go get a big because I'm going to need somebody that can score down low, which was almost like a complete 180 from where we were last year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, and to me, like that gives me hope, right? That gives me hope that Coach Kelsey is really seeing what everybody else is seeing. Because like that was the kind of question, right? Is because he wasn't really making a lot of adjustments, Haven, all year. So it was like, does this dude really not see what we're seeing, or does he not understand? Does he really think that this is going to work? You know what I mean? So it feels good to me, Haven, to know that the coach at least. It feels like, okay, yeah, he really knew what he needs to change. It's just he was doing what he thought was best for what he had on the roster. But that,
arguably,
well,
go ahead, go ahead, James. Hold on, Abe. Go ahead, James.
Arguably, though, when the threes were falling, they were blowout games.
Yeah.
So there's a method to the madness. When it works, it works. It's just when it has to work. Yeah. Because I think they hit 23s versus NJIT. What is that? New
Jersey Institute of Technology.
Yeah, they had that. They had Michael Brown's, what was it?
45 point games against NC State.
Yeah, they had the game against UK where they had a good amount of threes hidden. So just when it works, it works. But like Haven said earlier, big men are the golden standard of college basketball going forward. They were this year when it comes to scoring.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Abe. What were you going to say? No, but I mean, that's an excellent point.
Excellent point, yeah. And one of the things I was saying is one of the things that we talked about during the season was, okay, you got Fernando Fu and you got Luke. So you got guys who can play big. And we kept, well, at least I kept questioning, was there a coach on the coaching staff that actually knew how to get the most out of the bigs that Louisville had? And I was like, as the season went on, it became kind of obvious we didn't have that guy on staff that could take advantage of the bigs we did have, and that has been corrected. So, like, I'm like really optimistic.
Yeah. I mean, and look, this is the thing that I'll say for people that are like, Coach Kelsey shoots threes. That's what he does. It's not. Look, I don't think you have to get away from the system all the way. I just think that like we talked about during the year, you just have to have more balance, right? Like to me. Balancing the game and being able to attack the basket from both inside and from the mid-range is going to open up more three-point shots. So I feel like Louisville can still get the same volume of threes, or at least the same number of makes, but I feel like you can get more makes at a higher percentage, Haven, if you have the threat that, if Floyd Badunga has the ball down low, you've got to double team him, which means if you kick it out to Shellstad or Quinn Ellis or any of these other guys that Louisville's targeting, they're going to get wide open step into jump shots. So they may not shoot as many threes, but they can hit as many threes as they were in a lot of these games. I mean, does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. But also, it's just something else we talked about during the season. If you had a guy that, not a guy, let me phrase that. If you would let your players attack the paint more consistently, that would also take a lot of pressure off of your guards and able to shoot, threes. And that's something that Kelsey didn't allow his players to do, I don't think.
Yeah.
His scheme and his coaching allowed his players to really take advantage of that mid-range game. But I think that's changing.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I totally agree. I think that all these changes are going to be changes for good. Like, I think that Louisville is understanding what they need to do. I think that, that it's going to look a little bit differently, but I think the effectiveness of what they're trying to do will still be there. And that's what I would caution folks to say. Like, they may not go out there and shoot the volumes, but Louisville wanted to hit somewhere in the range of 10 to 12, 13, 14 threes per game or more. And I think that you can do that. I think that you can still do that, but you're going to do it on a higher percentage of shots. Like this young man, Brett Decker, okay? Like just as an example. We talked about Quinn Ellis. We talked about Jackson Shellstad. Brett Decker is another name to keep an eye on. He played at Central Hardin. He was at Liberty this past year, averaging about 17 points per game. He's a guy that is a big-time shooter. He shot, Decker last year shot 47% from three, led the nation in three-point shooting percentage on 7 threes per game. Very, very good shooter. This is a young man that would more than likely come to Louisville as a bench piece. He would not be a starter, but he would come off the bench kind of in the same role that Rain Smith had in the first year under Louisville, under Pat Kelsey. But what I'm saying is if you have a kid like Decker out there that's already a phenomenal shooter, but let's say you have a Floyd Badunga and another big man, or like Haven said, a guard who's dynamic off the bounce. If, Quinn Ellis is attacking off the bounce and, collapsing that defense, or if you throw it down to Floyd Badunga and that defense has to collapse, guess what's going to happen when you kick it out, Haven, to Brett Decker for a wide open three? That's money.
Definitely.
That's money. Like, and that's my point is, what would you like to do? Do you want to hit 10 or 12 threes on 25 attempts, or do you still need Louisville shooting 40 attempts to make that same 10 or 12 threes? Like that. I think that's the point. That's the way people have to look at it, and I think that's what Coach Kelsey is going to look to do is get better shot quality. Still have good shooters, but better shot quality will lead to higher percentages overall. So I tell you what, Haven Harrington, are you going to hang on through the break, or are you going to get on up out of here?
You know what? I'm going to hang on through the break, bro.
My man, cool. So I tell you what, well, let's go ahead. Let's hit this last break. I know we have more texts coming in. If you guys have thoughts, 502-414-1450. Go ahead, get those texts in now. We will get those to close the show. You are listening to Wake Up 502. Raashaan Myers, intern James, Haven Harrington on the line, and we'll be back on the Big X. back and just play whatever he wanted. Came back with Return of the Mac. I love it. That's a good choice, brother. Good choice. I like that. Hey, before we get back into it and get your text messages, I wanted to. There were a couple cleaning housekeeping items I wanted to take, ask about first, or at least give you information about. Not only is University of Louisville men's team having a big recruiting weekend, Jeff Walls of the ladies team has a huge weekend as well. They have actually on campus right now 3 demons from the portal. Denia Prawl, who was a McDonald's All-American, the number 6 overall player in last year's class of 2025 from Tennessee, 6'2" forward. She's on campus. Karis Baker, another 6'2" forward out of Virginia Tech, one of the better players in the ACC, as well as another young lady out of NC State, Zam Jones. Coach Walls talked about the fact that the one thing that the team was missing last year was a guard that had the quickness to kind of break down the defense and get into the lane and cause havoc. Well, Zam Jones would absolutely do that. She's a lightning bug, so 5'7", super, super quick, great scorer, great shooter. If Jeff Walls Haven-Hansen is able to pull off that trio and be able to get Baker, Prawl, and Zam Jones to go along with everything he has coming back, the Louisville ladies are ready for a Final Four run. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there right now, if that can happen.
Whoa.
I'm just going to say it. Like, hey, I'm going to put all my cards on the table. If they get these 3 high-impact transfers, regardless of what they do with the rest of their class, recruiting class, Louisville's going to be a Final Four ready team. So I'm just putting it out there. So that's happening. The other thing I want to ask about before we get to the text line is, Haven-Hansen, can you please explain to me how the Louisville Kings lost that football game last night in overtime? I'm very confused. Did you hear about what happened?
No, I don't know what happened.
Oh, you didn't hear?
What?
You didn't hear?
No.
This is why we needed Roman Kelly. Roman Kelly is not here this morning. I wanted to hear from him. I was hoping I would be able to hear from him. So apparently this is what happened. So Louisville Kings, Orlando, whatever they are, right? Storm. Thank you, Orlando Storm. I'm gonna say Orlando Rage. That was the old XFL team, Orlando Rage. The Orlando Storm, Louisville Kings, of course, down there at Lynn Family Stadium. They were in overtime, Haven-Hansen, tied 27-all. And apparently, in this game, Louisville Kings lost, okay? And they apparently lost because of some sort of penalty where the Louisville Kings had the ball, but they got called for some sort of penalty, and it gave Orlando 2 points. And Louisville lost on a penalty. Like Orlando didn't score. They just apparently there's some rule in the UFL rule book that says if there's a certain penalty in overtime, the other team gets points, free points.
Oh wow!
And that's how Louisville lost. I needed somebody to explain it to me because I didn't get the full story. But yeah, no, that was huge last night. You being such a big football guy, I just figured that you already knew. What was going on with that?
Well, I was actually in Baltimore last night, so I was actually talking to people about the Ravens.
Okay. Nice.
And Lamar Jackson.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm okay with that. Are they excited? Do they think that finally, now that Harbaugh is gone, do they have what they need to get it done?
I mean, they are so excited to see a revamped offense actually takes advantage of what Lamar can do. Like, they can't see straight.
All right, well, hey, I'm right there with them. I'm excited about it. We'll see. But yeah, like that whatever happened last night, apparently it was a bad product for TV. Apparently, did you look it up?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened last night?
So it says the overtime format. The UFL utilizes a best-of-3 series of 2-point conversion attempts from the 5-yard line to decide tied games. The 2 penalty rule is if a defense commits 2 live ball penalties during the overtime period, the offense is automatically awarded the 2-point score. So what happened last night was the game was tied 27-27 at the end of regulation. After both teams failed to score in their initial attempts, Louisville committed a second defensive penalty, pass interference or holding. during a sudden death attempt, resulting in an automatic 2 points for the Orlando Storm.
That'll do it.
And that puts them up to 3-0, and the Louisville Kings are 0-3.
Wow. So,
yeah, well, yeah, the good news is that they found an offense because their offense have been struggling mightily all season.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair. They did find some offense.
That's a positive, at least.
Yeah.
I've never heard of anything like that.
No, I haven't either. So because they got a second defensive penalty during overtime, so not consecutive penalties, just a second defensive penalty overall, they automatically get.
I don't know if it's on the same drive or if it's out of 3 drives we get 2 at all. I don't.
That's wild. that is very interesting. Oh, we have some more breaking news that just got posted. So apparently, about 10 minutes ago, it was announced that it's official. Big Zoo is in the portal. Vangelis Zugris will enter the transfer portal. The 6'8", 240-pound Greek big man finished the year on a high note, earning a starting role in March. Poised for a robust portal market given the demand for tough physical big guys. So Big Z is gone. Big Zoo is gone. Haven Harrington. A lot of people wanted to see Zugris come back, but from all reports, they said Zoo was looking for a payday. Haven Harrington. They said he wanted more than $1 million. What do you think about that?
Bye. Bye, Felicia. I mean, he's not. I mean, I would, if I could keep either Zoo or Food, I would rather keep Food, but both of them are way too much money, so they could kick rocks.
Yeah. I gotta agree. To me, it's gonna be too important for those top end guys. You can't be spending $1 million on a dude that you was playing 8 to 10 minutes a game.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, if I'm gonna spend some money, I'm gonna spend some money on a proven inside player that I know they can score.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of crazy. Yeah. See, James, this is what happens, man. Like all these dudes have lost their minds now. Everybody wants the money. I'm not paying big. I mean, I love Zoo. Zoo was a
fan. No, I mean, Zoo to me is still a project. Like he still has to learn so much about interior post play that whoever takes him, they're going to spend not a considerable amount of time, but they're going to spend a good portion of the beginning part of the season teaching him how to be a true post player, and they really use his size.
Yeah. I mean, Zoo was just undersized, man. He's just undersized. He gave great effort, and I appreciate it. But yeah, I would not bring him back for half of what he's asking. I'm sorry. Like that's a dude that maybe 250, 300K, maybe. Like I'll give you that, but you want a meal ticket? Absolutely not. Nah. I mean, but I understand him. Go get your money. Like I cannot fault him for that. These young men have an opportunity to get financially secure for the rest of their lives. So if somebody's willing to pay that money, absolutely go get it. Go get your bag. So I appreciate that. So James, what do we have on the text line before we get out of here?
All right, we have Scoots. I swear Cal must have something to do with NASA as well. If you look, Reed was the last astronaut off the capsule taken to the ship. I didn't know there must have been another astronaut named Wagner on board.
So I feel like that was a KRC text, but I'm trying to figure out where they were going with all of that. Like Reed and on the capsule, I don't know where they were going with that. Like I need some context for that conversation, but that sounds interesting. What else we got?
Are they still charging admission for Louisville baseball?
So I believe the baseball game, I don't think that there's I know for certain games there is a charge, but I'm not sure for the baseball game today. I thought that the games are free. Haven Harrington, do you know if the baseball games down there at Patterson Field are free?
It's a good question. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not even allowed to be like, well, no, I really have no clue.
Yeah. Like I'm not sure. I would say check out gocards.com. They'll let you know for sure. That is the website for all things Louisville athletics. So gocards.com, check it out. So yeah, they're taking on Stanford, but yeah, I am not sure if if that is a thing, if that's going to be. If there's a charge for that, or I know that most of the Louisville baseball games are open to the public, are free. So I would say just go check it out. But hey, even if you don't go to the game, go down there, swing by, say what's up to the basketball team. They're going to be right out there. If you're looking at the entrance of Patterson Field, they're going to be right on the left-hand side of over there set up. So, get down there 1:30 this afternoon. So, yeah, go get on down there and check them out. Anything else?
Nope, that's all for the day.
That's all for the day. So, I know everybody is kind of sitting on their hands. They're waiting to find out what's going to happen with the transfer portal. So many things happening for Louisville. I know University of Kentucky has started to kind of figure out what they want to do. I'm telling you what, Haven Harrington, from what I'm looking at, the transfer portal years for Louisville and Kentucky are going to be very, very different. It feels like after spending that, reported $22 million on last year's roster, Haven, the UKP boosters have gotten really tight with their pocketbook. They are looking to be a lot more, let's just say they're looking to be a lot more efficient with their spending and their money this year.
You spent that kind of money to really just underperform. If we're being honest, they have nowhere near the bang for their buck. That's $22 million for me by your Final Four.
Yeah, absolutely. You should at least be one of the better teams. Kentucky was if Tennessee didn't just gift them 2 wins this year, if Tennessee wins one of those games, let alone 2 of them, and, win those games, Kentucky's probably looking at between the Tennessee games and the St. John's games. Like, if those games go the way they probably should have gone, UK may have been an 8 or a 9 or a 10 seed. And for what they paid for that roster, you just can't have that. So I think that's just something that, you're going to have to get a little bit better with. But it sounds like Mark Pope is not going to have that open checkbook the way he did last year. So I'll be interested to see what happens with that. Haven Harrington, as far as Louisville football, we got the spring game coming up next weekend or next Friday. We'll, of course, be at the Gallup Gala there at the Galt House. So, we won't be able to get out there. We never get to make it to the spring game because of the Gallup Gala, but we love partying with the folks from Down Syndrome of Louisville, so it's all good. But anything you're looking for to get out of this spring game, or anything you're going to be kind of paying attention to as far as the reports from the game?
I think everybody else, I'm waiting to see what our quarterback situation looks like. For all reports I've seen, he's a great mid-range thrower. He's a great intermediate passer.
Yeah.
0, 15, 20 yards. He is just awesome. Super athletic. But his deep ball can use some work. So I'm really curious to see how his deep ball has progressed. It's like my understanding was it needs a little work. He needs to work on his touch, and may not have the arm strength that you would like. But we'll see. The running game, you already know it's going to be lights out. Other than that, it's just to see, what type of defense we call the field. But the spring game is really hard to get a feel for defense. So, I think all eyes on the QB, man. All eyes on the QB.
Yeah, no doubt. I definitely think that, for everybody wants to see what's going on with the quarterback. For me, I am more so interested in that offensive line. I want to see these running backs. Like, I know Isaac Brown is a monster, but like Montez Davis, the running back that came over from Missouri, former top 5 running back out of college, out of high school. I want to see what he looks like. Of course, the big man out of Licky Tompkins, the big man out of Tennessee that went to IMG Academy. I want to see what he looks like. From what I've heard, Haven Harrington, he is an absolute monster, 6'2", 240 pounds. So Louisville hasn't had a running back like that in a while. That's kind of who I'm looking for. I want to see what those guys look like. I know everybody's super, super excited about, Lincoln Keenholtz and the offensive passing attack. I know Trey Richardson is not going to play, of course, because he's been dealing with off-season surgery. the transfer from Vanderbilt. He's kind of billed as Louisville's top wide receiver target. So, don't really have them right now. So, I think that there's not going to be a ton that can be gleaned from the spring game, but there are definitely some spots to take a look at, see what the defense looks like. Tyler Thompson, the transfer defensive end from North Carolina, one of the most prolific and highest rated defensive pass rush guys in the portal. Cleve Lubin is back for Louisville. You want to see what that rebuilt interior defensive line looks like. Apparently, Jody Demling advised that there was a big football recruit on campus, Keon Webb, Haven Harrington, that's looking to possibly join this fall. Keon Webb weighs in at 6'6", 300 pounds. Interior defensive lineman from Garden City Community College. So there's a chance that he could be committing and kind of help bolstering that interior defensive line after Louisville lost so much on the interior defensive line. Renee Conga apparently has been turning heads heading into the NFL draft. So definitely need as much help on that interior defensive line as possible, losing so many guys, Wes Bailey, Renee Conga, and the rest of those guys from last year's defensive line. So, just a couple of things to keep an eye on, looking at what that defense looks like without Ron English now that he is gone on sabbatical. So we'll have to see what Mark Ivey and the rest of the coaching staff can do to kind of back that up. So, of course, there's never a lot you can take out of the spring game, but there's still going to be storylines. So I'm super excited to be able to talk about that with you guys next Saturday. We'll also talk about what round 2 of Louisville's portal recruitment craziness looks like. Like I said, if there are any commitments over the next several days, if Louisville has a commitment, and Haven Harrington, you did not hear this, but I made the announcement.
I heard it.
Oh, did you?
I heard it. You're going to break it down to his very last compound.
Yes, I'm going live. Immediate reaction about what that player means. I'm going to break down who that player is. I'm going to go live on all social media platforms of Wake Up 502 for those. So make sure you guys continue to follow. Make sure you follow and like Main Event Sports Radio on YouTube. Like and subscribe for that. So to make sure you can get all that content, follow me on X at Raashaan, as well as on Instagram and Facebook as well. So we'll have all those things coming to you. But Haven Harrington, any other thoughts or any other cleanup things before we get you out of here?
Hey, you know what? For all you little King fans out there upset, you have a right to be mad. But hey, the offense is finally waking up. Now they can score some points. They took the best team in the league down to overtime. Let's see what they can do us this season.
There we go. Appreciate it. Haven Harrington, thanks so much for calling in, man. Safe travels. I hope you and Bob have a wonderful visit to Hampton. What's Hampton's mascot, by the way?
Pirates, I believe.
Hampton Pirates. There we go. So go Pirates. Go check that out. Haven Harrington. Thanks so much, everybody, for checking in. James, thank you so much for manning the captain's desk for me. So appreciate you. Appreciate everybody listening and interacting. This is Raashaan Myers for Haven Harrington and intern James. Big X Sports Radio, Wake Up 502, and we out.